Hello and welcome to Were You Not Entertained? I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And we are going to be covering a very long title, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
I love it.
Which is another Netflix original.
Yeah.
Only
comedies can get away with the title that long, in my opinion.
I feel like they just had to do that just because it's supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah, the fact that it's ridiculously long name matches a lot of the ridiculous nature of this film.
Right.
Or movie. I hesitate.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Film.
Yeah, I'd say movie.
it's a movie.
I mean, I had fun with it. I think that it is not a perfect movie, and it has some places where I felt like it fell short, but overall, I had a good time. I thought it was funny and, mildly touching at times.
Yeah. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I didn't really love it. If the question were, was I entertained? I think it had enough points in it that I would say, yeah, it was entertaining.
I did not regret my 2 hours.
No, but knowing that it's supposed to be, and I say this and I'll explain it later, knowing that it's supposed to be a comedy, I guess maybe I had certain expectations going into it, but I probably would not spend that 2 hours again.
I think that's fair. And I'm not sure about you guys, so I'll ask this. Have either of you seen Eurovision, the actual contest, before?
No.
Not like an actual Eurovision contest. Now, for this episode, I went back and watched the Eurovision song winners of the last 20 years and things like that. And
like the people that they had in the movie.
Yeah, like in the big montage scene that they had at the party. A ton of those were people were actually contest winners or previous contestants.
Yes, I was so excited to see that because I have seen Eurovision.
Yeah.
And so for me watching this, I was surprised at how genuinely Eurovision this is. I think it's a different perspective because I got the impression that some of this felt more over the top, maybe.
Yeah.
For people that aren't familiar with Eurovision, maybe it's a moment of oh my goodness, why are they doing these costumes and all this auto-tune? And that's Eurovision. That's what it looks like. And when they were doing some of the Scandinavian countries, and that's super accurate.
Yeah. I don't know. That was one thing that kind of surprised me is based off the commercial or the trailer for it. I assumed that it was going to be making more fun of Eurovision than it actually was. It seemed like it was kind of lighthearted and positive towards Eurovision. Like it wasn't trying to just take a dump on it the whole time. Whereas something like Talladega Nights, I see as a pretty blistering critique of of NASCAR racing.
Yes.
Where this was silly, but it was sweet.
Right.
Yeah, and I really liked their big montage song. I did, kind of start singing Cher along with it for a second.
I did not.
Which earned me why do you know this song? Because it's Cher.
I didn't even recognize the song until they
I didn't recognize
into
it. Yeah, I didn't recognize it at first until the chorus came on, and then I was like, oh, okay, I know this song by Cher.
Aha!
Yeah.
And I was excited to see Conchita in there. And I was really waiting for Verka, because that's one of my favorite Eurovision winners. So it's a little sad not to see them there. But
Totally.
I was super disappointed by that person that I have no idea who they are.
Well, they performed in Spy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I did want to go ahead and say is some of the critiques I had for it was it did feel anticlimactic in some ways. There were I felt like there were a few different subplots that just kind of got washed over. Particularly the what was his name? Dan Stevens' character, the Russian Alexander Lemtov.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like he was set up to be this big antagonist, and as soon as your main characters, Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, I'm not Lars and Sigrid, sure. As soon as they worked things out, it was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm happy to see them happy. And I mean, while Alexander's character wasn't set up to be a monster by any form or fashion, he was definitely the antagonist, and it just seemed kind of like, oh, I guess they just ran out of time almost. And then similar situation with Brosnan's character, Eric, Lars's father. It seemed there was that ambiguous moment where they crashed on stage and he had not wanted to watch it because he was afraid of them embarrassing everyone. When that happened, there was a genuine look of sadness, and you couldn't quite tell whether that was because I was right and they embarrassed us, or I hate to see my son, who I do actually love, make a fool of himself for him, not because of what it does to me, kind of thing. And so I wasn't sure where that was going, and then it seemed like a complete 180 whenever they were on the fishing boat the next time that I saw them. And it seemed like there were some things that were set up that were just kind of glossed over in conclusion.
Yeah.
But other than that, those were my only complaints.
I think, to me, my biggest complaint about the entire thing is that it's supposed to be a comedy, and they have a comedy in the silliness and in the situations, but it seems like the underbelly of this entire movie is a serious movie. Like, it's not even like some of the things that were said about the relationship between Lars and his father, at the very beginning, you definitely get the feeling that this is a comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like, he said he was totally disappointed in him, and he said he's not drunk, and so
he
all
was
those
probably
things,
drunk. Oh no, he said I'm perfectly sober. This is actually the way I feel. Yeah,
exactly. So you have that, and you're like, okay, so something that fits with a Will Ferrell comedy, but then once you kind of get past that point, that's all gone. Like, it literally turns into a serious movie, and as far as their relationship goes. Until you get to the very end, and they're like, he's getting married, and kissing his mother-in-law, which is also his stepmother, I guess.
Complicates things now.
Yeah, so there were a lot of things like that were like, by the time you actually, in my opinion, kind of get to the end of it, it is no longer a comedy until the very end, like the very last scene. It is a serious movie about two people that are trying to accomplish a goal and realize that there is more to it than what they originally set out to do. And it kind of just broke the whole movie for me. Like, that's not funny. The elves or whatever that came out and killed the guy, funny, cool.
That was this had one of my favorite lines of all time. I died nearly in this movie watching it when the boat blows up and McAdams says, the elves went too far. Yeah. I just lost it. I am stealing that line. That is going into my lexicon now. Anytime something surprising happens, I hope that I can remember to say that.
I thought it had some funny moments.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to leave your knife here in case you need it for other murders.
I almost feel like the characters were too old. Like, if they were late teens, early 20s, the situations that they were in would seem more appropriate. and the relationship with the parents would seem more appropriate, and the dreaming big and not wanting to give up. You know,
I don't think that was supposed to be funny. I think that was kind
part of the humor.
What is supposed to be, a big part of the whole humor of this movie.
I definitely think it was less of like a typical laugh out loud Will Ferrell comedy, and it was more of like this quirky, feel good kind of offbeat story.
Yeah.
So I could see that. To me, it wasn't a serious movie.
It's not a serious movie. It just had more serious aspects about it than I thought it should.
Yeah.
For being a Will Ferrell comedy.
Well, and I think that's part of with how accurate it is to Eurovision and not just making fun of it. If they went in and just lampooned the whole thing, I think you could have gotten that typical Will Ferrell style comedy. Right? More like Talladega Nights, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think it kind of fit more like the Blades of Glory semi-pro.
Yeah, they tried to keep a more sort of accurate portrayal of things as opposed to hamming it up the whole way, which is, I understand how weird that might sound looking at the visuals in this movie, but
the visuals are not too far off from reality.
Exactly.
No, yeah, exactly.
They do wear those costumes, and
I love the hamster wheel.
That was great. Just sucks that scarf in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure. It was extremely predictable, but sure, it was great.
Yeah. It was predictable, and I thought it was, again, sort of
predictable in a situation that's supposed to be funny, but that wasn't a funny situation. Like,
yeah, he's not
just
supposed to
there's just parts of the story just diverged for me, and I couldn't get into it enough to find it humorous as a comedy, and it wasn't good enough to be a good movie for its serious aspects of it and the morals and lessons that it's actually trying to teach you. Like, there's a lot of moralistic messages in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is, again, okay.
No, I see where you're coming on it. I just didn't, I just didn't really feel that those were deal breakers for me. Maybe I went in expecting a little bit less.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it is a straight to Netflix movie. And I think it was going to be even outside of the pandemic.
Yeah, I just, not to say, I expect more from Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's been in some funny movies.
True.
And he's been in some that just weren't.
For me, it was Rachel McAdams. While she can be funny and she's been in some comedies, she also plays a straight character most of the time, and isn't the one.
Was a great example.
Which one?
Game Night.
Yeah, I mean, Wedding Crashers, and so, but she plays more of the straight character. She's not the one cracking jokes most of the time. And knowing that she was going to be the right hand, I knew Will Ferrell might have a little bit more to do with it, but she was going to have to be funnier than I have experienced her in most films, and so I was a little hesitant to think that it was going to be an Anchorman or Talladega Nights or something of that level of ridiculous comedy. So I came in a little bit with a little less expectations, I suppose.
Sure.
A little less funny expectations.
Yeah.
I thought Dan Stevens was one of the best parts of this whole movie.
He was great.
He was so funny. It was a good character, and I know he was supposed to be a little more problematic maybe than he was, but he still turned out to be this super supportive friend, which you weren't expecting. And
I was expecting him to get like really sleazy and for them to like show him like he's really a bad guy. Like he's trying to cause turbulence to screw him up but he's like, y'all aren't going to get any points anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just there as like a best friend figure, which
and also like totally negging them the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I did notice towards the end of it, Will Ferrell gave up on that accent.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
I don't know if that was intentional or what happened, but he just went all in on his American accent and left it alone for a good portion.
Yeah.
And then his accent came back at the end, but
It makes you wonder, like, what sequence they shot the different sequences in. What order they shot the sequences in.
right, like if it took some time to really get into that accent or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe they had
Or-
filmed a bunch of it and then he had to, like, leave for a few months or something and then came back and he was just like, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, maybe there was some reshoots or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Maybe. I also thought it was kind of unique that they really did put Icelandic people in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that was a local was actually a local. Aside from our main few characters, everybody was Icelandic.
Yeah.
Which I just didn't expect, because normally you just get this weird amalgamation of whatever Scandinavian actors they can get, because it just sounds so similar to everybody else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even the music,
I
they
thought
had
it was a cool
Icelandic
touch.
bands.
Yeah. They did, yeah. The music was actually good. It was a little more musical than I had, again, expected it to be.
And there were some things that were a little surprising to me, like the Demi Lovato pieces. When she was in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, that's a good cameo." And way to like set them up as they're definitely not going to be the winners of the contest locally.
Mhm.
But then to bring her back as a one-armed flaming ghost, like I found that quite humorous, especially the way that it ended with her.
Yeah.
That was very funny.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, you're not been keeping
Not a-
up.
Not a very helpful ghost.
Yeah.
And Graham Norton was great.
Graham Norton, yeah, as Graham Norton does.
Yeah, just
No.
doing his thing.
Yeah, it was very Graham Norton
Yeah.
being Graham Norton.
Being the host of Eurovision, I mean, that's what he does. So
Yeah.
He's
All right. Well,
a
was there
host.
anything else you guys wanted to cover before we jumped into favorite scenes?
I don't think so.
No.
All right. Well, then, how about we go ahead and start off with you today, Rachel?
Oh no. Okay.
On the spot.
Oh no.
I know. I was thinking and I was hoping, gosh, she'll only be me. But I have to say, I think my favorite scene is probably when Will Ferrell is offering the biscuits to the elves.
Oh, yeah.
They come out and they kill that guy. But
Victor.
because that's how Scandinavian culture is. Everybody.
Especially Icelandic.
Well, I mean, all of them. You know, as far as, you know, my family, we have an elf that lives in your attic to make your Christmas toys. And so it's just one of those things. All of them have these super weird little elf traditions. And so when he's offering food to their little house and then they come out and help him, I thought it was very funny and a very obscure touch that I appreciated.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So there's my biased Scandinavian favorite scene.
That was going to be mine, but not for the same reason at all. But I'll pick a different one now.
What is your favorite scene then? If that's not
It's actually when the driving scene, when Will Ferrell comes back.
And they're in the
And
Mini Cooper.
Yeah. And
Oh,
Mini
that
Cooper,
was
he's trying to get to Eurovision.
exact same thing for me. Yeah,
Oh,
that was
really?
my favorite scene too. The Americans and
Thinking the same.
all the interactions with the Americans I thought were incredible. At the fountain, in the Mini Cooper, and at the very end at the bar.
Yeah.
But the driving one was my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
The girls are so scared. Will Ferrell's like, oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Laughing.
Shut up or you're going to fly out at the next turn.
There's no speed limits anywhere in Europe.
Yeah. I love that too. Drive.
He's just making fun of him the whole time.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
all those interactions.
good.
I did really get a kick at the Starbucks part at the end.
Yeah.
Of
Is
the
he being
fountain
helpful?
scene.
Where's the
I
Starbucks?
think so. Where's the Starbucks? Everywhere. Just open your eyes.
Yeah. Sounds like Seattle.
Right. Yeah. So that was mine, and yours apparently.
Yeah.
But that was I got there was a lot of humor involved in that one for me. I thought it was thought it was funny. You get a little action too, right?
Yeah.
A little driving action.
Driving down the wrong side of the road.
Wow. Stupid Americans, right?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
All right. Well, was there anything else we wanted to hit on before we got out?
I don't think so.
No?
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed Eurovision more than Daniel did. And more than that, hopefully you enjoyed our coverage of this as well. If you did, please go online, like, and subscribe. And join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?